Alrighty, we are ready for another painting session. I really hope we get some people in here today. That would be exciting. I'm getting some comments right now on Instagram posts from my paintings, which is exciting because it's been a little bit since that's happened. So hopefully whoever this is sees my story and is gonna join up with us. That was a weird sound. I'm going to close that tab. I have a tab making noises. But we fixed it. That tab won't be making noises anymore. But yes, welcome in. We are going to do some painting today, and hopefully we are going to have some fun with it. We are doing one of our bookmark strips today, just because that's what I felt like doing. I'm going to be honest with y'all. That's kind of how we pick it. It's just what I feel like doing. Sometimes we do the bookmark strips, sometimes we do the little squares, but the whole point of doing these smaller paintings is to be able to do a painting every single day. And this will be number 16, I believe. We could count, but I feel like I just need like a calendar to mark off how many days we've done at this point, because we've actually done a decent amount, and that makes me really happy. We've been making some progress and just like rocking and rolling. Here in a minute, we're going to switch over to our canvas and our easel over here, and we'll grab some paints and we'll get started. Down in the left hand corner over here, you will be seeing my social media pop up for my Instagram. It's painting_on_wheels, and you will also see my Etsy pop up. My Etsy doesn't have much on it right now, but it has 3 things. If you see something you like on my Instagram, just DM me and we'll make something happen. These micro paintings are not something that's for sale. However, if you see something that you like, reach out to me and we can figure out getting you a commission. The plan for today is to do our medium-sized micro painting and then maybe work on that big canvas that we started on yesterday. You will see, here, I'll just go ahead and switch you around. You will see that I tore up our cardboard. If you've been here the last couple of days, we've had a much bigger piece of cardboard, and I tore it. I tore it down a little bit. I can raise this up. I keep forgetting that I can lift this up, which is great. I'm going to lift that up a little bit so it's more at my eye level. Maybe. All right. So this is now a little bit more at my eye level, which is perfect because I got to be able to see what we're doing. We're going to open up our clean water. If you've been hanging out with us for a little while, you know that this setup is a little bit different, a little bit more fancy than we were working with before. And it's exciting because we kind of have a studio space now. This studio space is not a permanent studio space, it's a temporary thing. But all the same, it's exciting. You may have also noticed that I've been wearing the same clothes for numerous days of painting. And the reason for that is I finally decided to set up and pick out some painting clothes. So you will see most of the time that when we are streaming, I'm in the same outfit over and over and over again. I want to do this way. I wasn't planning on switching this around, but I want to do a vertical thing here today. I just got an idea. So we're going to switch it to vertical. I'm going to start grabbing my paints and I will walk you through them as we go. We are going to start once again with our sap green from Artist's Loft. As always, I share the paints that I use with you because I want you to have the option to paint along. It obviously is not a requirement to paint along with me. It's just something, if you want to do it, you can. I'm not sponsored by Artist's Loft. I so wish I was. And you are welcome to, if it's in your budget and you want to paint along, go get paint from Artist's Loft. If it's not, get whatever works for you. Go to Walmart and buy the like 68 cents little paints and just find close colors. Next one is Phthalo Blue from Artist's Loft. We're going to grab some titanium white from Artist's Loft. You will notice that a lot of my paints are from Artist's Loft. It's because I just really like Artist's Loft paint. We're going to grab some of our lighter blue. We're going to grab some cerulean blue from Artist's Loft. That was more than I intended to grab. Cerulean blue from Artist's Loft. Where did my magenta end up yesterday? Oh. I try to keep the colors that I use most, which are like white and black and the phthalo blue, yellow, and the deep magenta. I try to keep them out, but sometimes I end up just throwing them back in the bin. We're going to grab some light violet today from Artist's Loft. And we're going to grab a paint that's not from Artist's Loft, and this is going to get a little bit messy. But we're going to grab Holiday Green from Craft Smart. This one is one of those cheapy paints. We have talked about cheapy paints on here before. Cheapy paints tend to be more runny. So since I am using a paper palette, we just have to be careful about that. So to run through those all again, we're using Sap Green from Artist's Loft, Holiday Green from Craft Smart, Light Violet from Artist's Loft, Phthalo Blue from Artist's Loft, Titanium White from Artist's Loft, and Cerulean Blue from Artist's Loft. So what I'm going to do is I am going to start by spraying my little piece of paper here. I like having my canvas, whatever it is, in whatever form it is, be wet so that my paint will move around more effectively on the canvas that we're using. I'm using my favorite brush here, my favorite medium-sized small brush. It is my angled brush. It's fairly firm. It's just a real good one that I enjoy. We're going to come in with some of that, some of that phthalo blue. And you'll see I'm just kind of working it in. I want this to be a little bit darker towards the top, so making sure to go back in with more of that blue higher up on the canvas, and then just kind of brushing it down, working it down. It's okay if we've got some lighter splotches in there. We'll go in with our cerulean blue next. We're just going to come up into the space as one color ends and make the next color begin. And we're just kind of working that down. And we'll grab some white. And same thing. I'm using fairly small, quick brush strokes here. It's creating a little bit of texture in the sky. We'll come back in up here with some more of our darker blue because we've got all three colors kind of on the brush right now. We could rinse. If you've been here a while, you know why I tend to not like to rinse it. We might actually need to rinse it. I am occasionally, when I'm getting too much of one and not enough of the other, just wiping my brush off on my canvas. I mean on my rag, my paint rag. And that's just allowing me to get off a decent amount of the paint so that I can keep working it. We're gonna then come in and we are gonna do our greens, and I'm just gonna put a little bit of each green on this brush and work from the bottom up. Small brush strokes because I want that kind of texture coming through. Go up as high as you want. We brought our sky down a little bit further than we may have intended here. If you're painting along, go up as high as you want. Just keep using those small brush strokes. Boop, 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 like that. Because that is creating kind of a background texture of grass, which makes our life easier when we go to add in actual grass. You can make your skyline be whatever shape you want it to be too. This is your painting. If you're painting along, it's your painting, not mine. You can have your skyline be higher up, you can have it be lower down, you can have it be mountains, you can have it be flat. It's up to you. Give the brush a good rinse. And I'm actually gonna switch brushes. Oh, I forgot to plug in my watch. I'm gonna plug in my watch really quick because I meant to do that while we were starting up the stream and I just forgot. Alrighty. Now we are gonna grab small brush. We're gonna grab our teeny tiny brush, itty bitty teeny tiny, and we're gonna make some grass. So what I'm gonna do to make this grass, oh, I have a little hard bit in there. Let's just go ahead and move that out. So what I'm gonna do to make this grass is I'm gonna take a little bit of our light green, a little bit of our dark green. You can do this directly on the brush or you can do it on your palette, whatever your palette looks like. We're just gonna start adding in streaks. Longer streaks towards the front, shorter streaks to the back. I'm actually gonna start further back than this because I want those streaks to be shorter. And yes, we're gonna probably cover them up. But all I'm really doing here is touching the edge of my brush to my canvas and just moving up slightly. Just like that. The less you touch your brush to the canvas, the fewer bristles you touch to the canvas, the narrower those streaks are gonna be. And since this is, you know, pretty much the same colors that we used before, because we put those exact same colors onto our brush when we made our grass base. Since this is pretty much the same we used before, it's going to blend in a little bit. That's okay. Especially further back, that's really what you want. As you come more towards the bottom down here, you can start making those streaks longer. You can change up the colors if you want to. That kind of good stuff. I am very curious as to if you can hear my my washing machine in the background. If I have anyone in here, let me know. Can you hear my washing machine in the background? I also have been thinking it might be more effective for me to set you guys up looking over like my other side, since I know my arm keeps getting in the way a lot here. And like I can try to paint upside down kind of like this, but in certain situations that just doesn't work so great. I like having my brush pretty well loaded when I'm doing this. Just because having it more loaded up means that we get kind of like paint tracks as we do this, which I am definitely a fan of. I like being able to see like texture in the paint itself. I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit of white and kind of just mix that in with our greens. And to make this grass down here, we're really just start at the bottom and swoop your way up. It doesn't have to be straight. Can go at angles. All that good stuff. I'm kind of liking the way that this is looking because it kind of gives me the feeling of like we are looking from down here towards the very bottom, like we're laying on the grass, and this is the grass we see in front of us, and then that's like a hill in the background. And I'm a fan of that. I am. We're going to start on some clouds now, though. And clouds are kind of a fun time. I say that only slightly sarcastically. So for what I like to do for clouds, we're going to grab some of our white. We're going to grab some water. And I'm just kind of mixing that on my paint palette until I get not as runny as we use for like fog and stars and that kind of stuff, but we definitely want it to be watered down. And then this is kind of a two-handed process. So what I'm going to do is with one hand, usually my left for this, I'm going to touch my brush to the general area in which I want the cloud. And with my other hand, I have a wet finger, which I just dipped into my paint water. And I'm just gonna swirl those clouds around. If you're not a fan of having painty hands, you can also use like a toothpick or something, but I find that it works easiest for me if I use my finger. You can do swirls, you can do back and forth like stripey things. I highly recommend doing more than one coat of this, just because the first coat you're going to be picking up some of the paint underneath. You're going to be, you know, not as opaque, and so it can be really helpful to go back in with another layer after you do the first layer. The reason we're keeping our finger wet, or at least damp, is that we really want that to just glide. And so if your finger is dry, it's more likely to kind of get stuck. It's not going to glide as much. So making sure that finger is wet, dipping it back in that paint water as much and as often as you need to, and just kind of working it. You can also come in with just the brush and make some like streaky clouds. This works best if you're using an older brush. Which this one is. This brush is definitely an older brush. And then to kind of help it, just go back in with your finger, run it back and forth across. I really like using my finger when I'm making clouds because it kind of takes away the control of the OCD. If you didn't know, I do struggle with OCD. Sometimes it makes painting real hard. Okay, and we'll come back in up top. Tap in some, what paint? Swirly whirlies. And if you were doing these clouds as like your focal point of the painting, I would probably recommend you do this a little bit differently. I'd probably recommend you do a little bit more like detailing in your clouds and all that. But that's not what we're doing today. We are using these clouds in the backdrop of a nice, sunny, overcast type day. So it's not a huge deal for them to be absolutely perfect, which is why we're kind of using this technique. It can also be really helpful for these swirly clouds to kind of swirl your finger in different directions as you go, because it gets kind of like some movement in the cloud. For the moment, I am happy with that. We might come back in and do some touch-ups on those in a little bit, but they need to dry a bit first. I want to come back into our little brush. And so now I want to mix up some of our holiday green with some white, just the holiday green and white, because this will create a different color than we've used in the grass previously and allow us to get something that stands out a bit more. I feel like I end up saying this a lot, but this does not have to be a perfectly mixed color. Like, let it be a little bit marbled. We're gonna make a stem. Like I said, our clouds are our background here. We are going to be covering them up. This flower stem quite literally goes all the way up to those clouds. That's what I want. We can put a little bit of a leaf situation happening here. Let's do another one down here on this side. Okay, we'll add in some more paint to this one so that it's a little bit more opaque. We can come in with a little bit of our darker green and just kind of trail that through the wet paint in the middle of these leaves to create kind of that center piece to it. If your darker green feels like it's too much, just go back in with some of the lighter green. Touch up around the edges, blend it in a little bit. It's all good. It's all good. I'm a fan of that stem so far. Let's go ahead and give our brush a rinse. And I have no idea what flower we're making. we have this stem hanging out in the middle of this painting. What do I want to do? I'm going to grab some of my purple and we're just going to kind of try and feel out this flower. I'm going to make a swooping petal here. I'm going to take some of our phthalo blue and mix it with a little bit of our purple. If you were with us yesterday, we discovered the amazing effect of kind of marbling in our flowers. So we can do a little bit of that today. I'm going to kind of build these petals on top of each other a little bit here. We're going to try coming in with a little bit of white. Just kind of like right along the edges of the petal. I'm liking this a lot. I'm actually really decently a fan of this. I'm very happy with this right now. Wow. This might be my favorite flower that I've done. I'm not gonna lie to you. But we need to give the flower a bit of a base. So we'll grab some of that same paint that we used for the stem. We're just gonna kind of connect it. I'm adding in another petal over here just because we've got a nice little bump in that stem that I want to give purpose to. Okay, I am actually like really quite pleased with this. We're gonna mix up a little bit more of our cloud concoction to make our clouds a tiny bit better. Specifically our puffy clouds. Now that those have dried a little bit. If we have anybody here who is good with flowers, let me know if this flower resembles any that you've seen in real life. Because I just kind of did what was in my brain without a care for real world flower lookings. I am actually really, really pleased with this. This makes me very happy. Let me bring you up to take a peek at it. So we've got a couple of clouds being puffy up top, and then we've got some wispy clouds, and then we've got our purple flower, which is showing up more blue on your screen, but that's okay. It is more purple. Coming down to a stem with some grass. And that is our micro painting of the day. I'm really quite pleased with that. Whoops. We're gonna go ahead and set this aside. I'm really quite pleased with that. And we're gonna grab our canvas that we started on yesterday. We need to lower this guy back down. So, spend some time sitting with this painting, thinking about it, talking to it, seeing what it wants to be. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to change our black sky space up here to be more blue, which is great because we already have our two best blues hanging out with us. But we're going to do it in a fairly similar way to what we did down here in terms of just like mixing things together. So I'm going to take one of my blues, it doesn't matter which, and I'm just going to start kind of swirling it in. When I feel like it, I'll switch to a different spot and swirl. Get more paint, switch to a different spot, swirly twirly. We're going to do this until our whole blue space, at very least, is covered. If you feel like you need it, you can add some water. It's not going to mess you up. I'm going to try and keep my water kind of concentrated on the top part of this. It's okay if it decides to travel a little bit, but we're going to try. We're just going to keep swirly twirling it in until we're happy with what the top of this looks like. The nice thing about what we did yesterday, even though we're going over it, is that having that dark base is actually going to really help us, because that dark base is going to give some more depth to our swirly twirlies of blue. And like I said, we might need to grab some more of our phthalo blue. I don't know that I have enough. You may have grabbed more than me if you're doing a paint along. If you are doing a paint along on this one, this is a 20 by 20 canvas. A 20 by 20 canvas. No, a 16 by 16, I'm sorry. If you're feeling really creative and fun in here, you can even throw some of the purple in here. I enjoy adding a little bit of purple to my skies, but I am also like the queen of purple. Not necessarily in the painting stuff. Not necessarily in painting. Let me scooch you back a little bit. Not necessarily in painting. I just really love purple, and so I will always gladly add purple to anything. Like, always. Literally always. I am going to grab some more phthalo blue. And really and truly, we are going to just keep working this until it is at a point that we feel happy with it. If that point is when all of the black is covered for you, then that's what it's at. If the point is where you're still seeing black peek through, that's fine too. But we're just going to keep swirly twirling. Swirly twirlies. I want this sky to feel like it has a lot going on. That's just me personally though. You can even grab some white if you want to. If you're feeling like this is a very dark sky, grab a little white. Maybe that's where we'll put a cloud later on. That's what happened when I swirly twirlied in some white. See what happens when we swirly swirly in some purple. I'm not using much, that's for sure. The purple gets very quickly overrun, but it does add a little bit of like a interesting color situation there. I need some more of my cerulean blue. Oh, that was a lot of cerulean blue. Okay. I did not mean to grab that much cerulean blue, but it's fine. as I'm kind of building this up, I'm starting to use lighter and lighter pressure on the canvas. That way I'm getting kind of more and more of those like actual swirls as opposed to just blending it all together. So we're kind of lessening the pressure a little bit here. I think we talked about yesterday when we were working on this. We're just kind of playing. Let yourself play. Let yourself have fun with this. We don't have a specific idea in mind here. We are just having fun. And that's okay. Seriously though, let yourself just have fun with this. It's not about having it be perfect. It's not about having it be photorealistic or anything like that. Just let yourself have fun. There's not enough time sometimes where we just have fun. So let this be one of those times and just play. I'm starting to reach a point where I feel happy with this. I also feel like I want to add in some purples in here. Let those purples play a little bit too. I'm going to grab a little bit more of my phthalo blue. Another option when you're doing this kind of thing is that you absolutely can just kind of plop the paints down onto the canvas itself. You don't have to use a paint palette. We're using a paint palette just because we already had these colors on a paint palette. And now we're just keeping with it. That was my elbow. I don't know if y'all could hear that, but that was my elbow. As you can see, I am occasionally just kind of pushing my brush down onto the canvas and getting some of the excess paint off of it, and then using that excess paint to kind of move around and keep swirly twirling. This is a swirly twirly kind of day, swirly twirly kind of painting. I really do think I am a fan of this very dynamic sky like this. It's not just all one thing, kind of like the miniature we did today, the micro painting we did today was. It's very, very dynamic. It creates almost this sense in me of like, we have no idea what's going to happen. We have no idea what tomorrow's going to bring, and we're going to be okay with that. And the purple really does add kind of a very nice, almost like undertone to it. And that black that we put on yesterday adds a lot of depth to this, and it's feeling really, really nice to me. And I know that this is just a swirly twirly sky, but this makes my brain happy. It really does. Like I said, I don't know what we're gonna put in this lower part. I really don't. We might end up, putting a field of flowers. We might end up putting a cottage or something down there. I don't know. And that's okay. I'm now just kind of taking my brush and almost like patting it off and giving those little bits a swirl. Because I've still got some paint happening on my palette. So I'm just kind of building it up on the canvas. Pushing the brush into the canvas nice and hard to kind of get some of the extra paint off. I'm really happy with that. I like the way that sky is looking. We may end up bringing it down further. We may end up building the land up further. I don't know. We shall see. But I will bring you up to take a closer peek at this. So that sky is extremely dynamic, and I really do love it. Like, there's just something about that sky that is just, like, absolutely beautiful to me, and absolutely a fan of it. So, hopefully you are too. We will probably continue working on this in the coming days. I'll bring you back down, and we will switch over to me on camera. Hello! But yes, we will probably end up working on this one more in the coming days. I just wasn't really feeling our haunted house situation very much. And so I think we're going to take a break from that one. We might come back to it. We might not. We might end up painting over it. We've done that before. But we shall see. And we're going to go ahead and call it wraps here for today. We did a micro painting. We worked on the sky of our giant painting today, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. So that's where we're going to wrap up and call it a day. And then I might see you tomorrow. I might not. Make sure to keep an eye out on the Instagram, poetry_on_wheels. Every time I'm going live, I kind of post there first. And so if you keep an eye out on my story, you'll see it there. Excuse me. You can also turn on notifications on Twitch. Follow me, turn on notifications, and you'll be informed when we're going live, which is even better. So until next time, have a great day. Enjoy your Saturday afternoon. We're having some decent weather where I'm at. Hopefully you're having decent weather too, and you can get outside and enjoy it a little bit. But until next time, have a great day and make something that is uniquely you.